Welcome to another biochar burn, and Brien will describe what he did to this barrel to achieve this type of burn, which is very efficient.
So this was copied off some guy in Australia farming. I think I want to slice the metal down the middle and heat up the edges and fold the metal out so that it creates more of a restriction to draft. We're trying to keep the oxygen out is the idea, and it'll also help me from having to pick up these burning embers.
On the sides. Yeah.
So there's a neighbor up the road with a oil tank that is up out of the ground. It's this big a diameter and 6 feet tall. We have a old lady client. She's got a little farmette, and I'm gonna go ask the guy who offered to give me the tank, well, do you want to meet one of your neighbors? Lives right up the road. You got a farm, she's got a farm. I have to flush the old diesel out of the tank, and I'm willing to do that, help her out, and then I'm going to cut. In this case, I used 2 or 3 of these cutting thickness to a Makita grinder, 4-inch grinder. So I used up 3 blades cutting this, but you can use a cutting torch. But regardless, you aren't supposed to cut through a fuel tank without flushing it. So after that gets done, then I could try heating up the metal on the side of this oil tank, which is thicker, and getting it to bend like I described. So Jenna, you should take a peek and give an idea of the volume that we've gotten in the last
Hour,
hasn't been
not
much
even.
over an hour, if
Right.
maybe an hour and a half.
Because we've had dry weather, so everything isn't soaking wet. And all of this brush has been sitting out, but it's been drying through May because we have had no rain. So dry, cured material burns quickest.
So like this material, we cut the tree down, the deer come and take all the leaves off, which if they were here, they would fly off and start the woods on fire.
Right.
That's an extreme hazard.
So the deer actually ate the ivy leaves. So this is all ivy, English ivy, and it's everywhere. See how it climbs up the trees? So when a tree comes down with the ivy, we let the deer predate it, and they love it. And it has medicinal properties. Lots of chlorophyll.
There's also some witch hazel, hazelnut brush in here, but you know, it's green wood, but if we can just keep the neighbors from complaining of the smoke, we can do this in the middle of this hot stretch we're in the middle of.
So the technique of keeping char from turning to ashes, you keep building up. So you've got a flame, and once you start seeing ash, like we do see some ash on the tip, on the top of what's in the barrel, we'll be adding material, and then the flame will hop up to that new material and leave what it's burning right now alone, leaving it as char.
So you notice the wood that's on fire on the ground, well, that's actually beneficial, because when you go to empty the full load of charcoal, you're going to find a 5-gallon bucket of unburnt, uncharred material. And so you got to do that on the next burn. So this is a reject from the last burn, but what I'm saying is this heat is charring the wood that is down below. You try and start out with small stuff that's dry and keep unburnt material from out of that lower spot, because of course it's not getting as much heat as we build up.
At one time we did have a thermal gun, and something like this is probably between 400 and 700 degrees, like this. And that's the difference between activated charcoal, because activated charcoal is like twice that. And there's also a steaming process. But charcoal ground up has its benefits medicinally as well, for a poultice or for stomach trouble. I do feed it to the chickens. It cleans out their gut. Other farm animals seem to enjoy it as well, and it's inoculating it through their gut with their gut bacteria. So the end result is beneficial for the garden soil.
Well, and let's just say it's charcoal delivery system, because in the case of some of these critters, pigs and cows and the like, you are taking your charcoal from the barn, sending it out into the field in small increments, and the animals are doing that process for you. What we're doing here is, can't see a lot of it, but since we have a lot of time on our hands, termites and carpenter ants, we sort the decent firewood
Over there.
that the boss man likes from putting wood with rot and bugs in it into not only his woodshed, but he's also hauling that up and letting it sit on his living room hearth. And live termites crawling out, you know, in the September period, they hatch and fly. So when you see termites flying, that's because somebody didn't get rid of them. Jenna high grades this stuff. The reason why it's split up so much is we collect the termites.
We got the bugs out of these guys.
You can take them and bop them into a 5-gallon bucket.
Chickens love them.
Especially in the winter time. They're a little tired of their grub. There's no spring greens to feast on, and they just go bonkers for that kind of treat. So yeah, that's why we're getting rid of this perfectly good kindling, which if we weren't so behind on creating charcoal for our massive grass clippings, we need this char to mix with the grass clippings. So some would say there's not a lot of nutrients in grass clippings, but if you had battled Jenna's project of cement like clay in the garden and tell her that an organic material like grass clippings with charcoal in it mixed with the clay, that's the secret to breaking up clay, is add organic matter. So
for air and water to get in there, and also the plant roots. Now this pile here is prunings that we did on a landscaping contract, and we brought it home, and ultimately this stuff will be used to make biochar. So it's a twofer.
well, ooh, careful. It just takes one burn. That's to wear the gloves in the beginning of the project, and then the whole rest of the project you can feel the heat on a burned finger.
Yeah.
So,
Did you burn yourself?
not yet, and
Okay.
these ridiculous shoes
Are not the best idea. Right.
but a lot of the people listening don't know what the Pacific Northwest is like.
Right.
And wearing rubber boots. And like 2 days ago, it's the leather logging boots. I think the $350 leather logging boots don't need to get worn out over here. They are really nice and protective, but our process is to have Jenna cut the brush to 4 and 5 feet long and put it in crosswise.
Yeah, this stuff.
The rope gets attached to a stump back here, and at the end of the day, we pull the whole load out without having to pitch it out.
Right. That worked well.
So this stuff is already 4 feet long. And back to my foot gear, I haven't run the chainsaw this morning. I can pick up pieces, and like we were demonstrating, cross stacking the 4-footers on top, because I don't really feel like the eye protection, running chainsaws with this is a little bit on the foolish side. Not saying it's never been done. I guess I wanted to demonstrate. This could be a manure, so it'll pick up manure, cow manure off a sawdust barn floor. It may have been used for a hay, not so much.